Chair recognizes the member from Harbour Grace, Portagrave.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Always an honour to stand here in our seats, of course, and I proudly represent the strong district of Harbour Grace, Portagrave. A very interesting day to see the banter back and forth, and I will say this, Mr. Speaker, it's a hard job not to get high blood pressure in this place, because you hear the drama back and forth. You know, you got one member saying who we commend up in Fairyland, you know, enough with the blame game. And then you get, unfortunately, the colleague to his right gets up and does the exact opposite of what he just said. But you know what? We are here to work on behalf of the people of Newfoundland and Labrador. You know, about the blame game and this and that. We know what happened in the past. We know where we are right now. But you know what? It's been made clear to us in the media. Have a look at the media. Listen to Open Line. Go to your coffee shops. People don't want to hear the fighting and the drama back and forth. And you know what I will say about compared to previous to 2015, I will say Harbour Grace Portagrave District is in a better place than it was prior to my coming to office. And you know why? Because finally we have the long overdue replacement of Coley's Point Primary School. The people of Harbour Grace Portagrave, in particular Babe Roberts, the community, of course, they've been lobbying for decades for a school, a mole-infested school that I will say, Mr. Speaker. And if I was still in a newsroom, I would be doing a story on the state of that building. But it was this government that replaced $16.2 million to replace Coley's Point Primary School. There you go. In a time when we were flushed with cash, when we became a have province, Mr. Speaker, Newfoundland and Labrador, for the first time in its history, became a have province. But that school was overlooked. It was overlooked. But I'm happy to say, even given the times that we're in financially, it was made a priority by this government. And thank God, because I'd still be talking about it, and I'm talking about it now, and I'm going to be talking about it until we cut that ribbon. And I was out actually in the fall and had a tour of the facility. It's coming along quite nicely. And, and we're on track for 2021, $16.2 million, finally, to replace that aging school in an expanding community with an expanding population, servicing communities of Portagrave, Barraneed, Coley's Point, Bay Roberts, Shearstown, Butlerville, you name it. And those children and that school community, that staff, you know what, they're very happy and they're very this is welcoming news and very refreshing news. So again, yes, there's a lot of work to be done. And there's no good in pointing back and forth and saying, oh, we're about 5 years where we were, and here we are, and we're ready to take, give it a rest. People want drama. We've got a great lineup on NTV and CBC and all of our local broadcasting, including Out of the Fog. They can flick on the days of our lives, Mr. Speaker, if they want drama. But let's do our work. Let's talk about what needs to be done. We know a lot of work has to be done. And personally, I don't come from a partisan background, Mr. Speaker, because I'm a journalist prior to this work as an MHA. So it doesn't matter if you're on that side of the House or if we're on this side of the House or if we're up in the corner or wherever we are. We have to work together, and I'm committed to doing that. There are 40 MHAs in this House of Assembly, and you know what? We're getting into budget time right now, so let's not go through, let's not get into the nitty-gritty and the drama back and forth, because what is it? It's not productive, and the people want to see something different. Everybody has reflected upon that here in this House. I respect every member. We've all put our names forward to represent the people who've elected us to come here and do this job. So that said, of course, Coley's Point Primary. Also, another thing that's never happened in the community of Bay Roberts is a Newfoundland and Labrador Games. We've never been able to host a games in the community of Bay Roberts, but finally, it's this government that's bringing a games to Bay Roberts. It takes work. We collaborate with our community leaders, the town of Bay Roberts. The volunteers out there who've come and said to me time and time again, we've put applications in. We've never been able to get a games here. We see our neighboring communities all across the province get the games, but we're overlooked here. But we have the infrastructure. We have the volunteer base. We have the athletes. We have it all. But I'm happy to say, we're finally getting our games in 2020. Just last year, Mr. Speaker, you and I did the announcement of $200,000 to the town of Bay Roberts, the hosting town, to be able to host this games. Myself and the Minister of Children, Senior Social Development, just a couple of weeks ago, we're out in Bay Roberts again to announce another $110,000 to support this game. And this is going to be an amazing game. It's going to bring people all across the province into Bay Roberts and Conception Bay North region. But you know what? That infrastructure is going to stay there. That we need. And it's going to contribute to community healthy living. For seniors, for young students, for everyone, for all residents to enjoy. And I'm certainly looking forward to it. And from what I hear, there's a lot of great work being done on the ground, and it takes a lot of volunteer power. And I'm very happy to say, it's coming along quite nicely. But, good things are happening. I'll give another example with our volunteer firefighters, in particular in the town of Upper Island Cove. Again, in a time they've been lobbying for a medical rescue unit fire truck, because in this geography they respond to a lot of medical calls, as well as fire emergency, of course. And it's something they've been lobbying for quite some time. The old truck they've got, they were scared, and I quote, they said, "Pam, we don't think we're going to make it over to Long Hill anymore in that truck in Upper Island Cove." But again, it took working together, it took speaking up, it took advocating and lobbying, and I'm happy to say it was this government again that granted that truck. Just recently, just a couple of years ago, that new the minister at the time came out, and also my neighbouring MHA for the district of Harbour, Trinity Bay to Verde, and we announced that fire truck in the town of Upper Island Cove. So good things are getting done. I didn't hear what Mrs. Speaker. Well, roads are another issue. And that said, having said that, I'm happy to say, we're talking to my colleague over there from Grand Falls, from Central, talked about the roads. I'm happy to say that this government, with the collaboration of the federal government, we have announced money for the repair of Harvey Street in Harbour Grace, a main thoroughfare. So things are getting done. There's no doubt we are in the most challenging time, in our history financially. But I, for one, am committed to working together. I'm not interested in the drama back and forth of whose fault it was. I'm not interested in hearing that. We're here and now. Let's work together. I consider you all colleagues, and most of you friends. Some of you. Everybody puts their names on the ballot, to come and do a good job. That said, I respect anybody who steps forward, to put their name forward. So let's work together. There's a lot of work to be done. And again, I look forward to more debate, of course, throughout the budget.
Order, please. Order.
Throughout the budget, of course, there's going to be a lot more debate on our fiscal situation. Also, aside from, the fiscal and talking about interim supply, we brought in a great harassment-free policy in this House of Assembly for the first time in our history as well. And I'm sure we're going to talk about that as well. But that said, Mr. Speaker, I will take my seat. I know there's a lot of people eager to get up, and talk about the priorities in their district. There are good things happening in the district of Harbour Grace, Portagrave, and again, I look forward to finally getting that new school, the new Coley's Point replacement. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.